As the seasons change, so do we. And yet, many of us resist the passage of time, clinging to youth, fearing solitude, and grieving the connections we've lost. These natural changes can leave us feeling disoriented, as if we're moving farther from the life we once knew. But what if aging wasn't a loss? What if it could be seen as a profound path to liberation, a journey that opens us to deeper wisdom and a richer understanding of ourselves and the world around us? In this video, we'll explore 5 timeless truths from the Buddha that can transform how you view aging. You'll discover how Buddhist wisdom, rooted in compassion, mindfulness, non-attachment, and inner peace, can guide you to embrace each passing year with grace, clarity, and a renewed sense of purpose. These teachings provide a perspective that helps us release the fear and resistance that often accompany aging, allowing us to find peace in every stage of life. If you've ever felt left behind by age, know this: you are not alone, and your journey is far from over. The challenges of aging are not something to fight against, but an opportunity to deepen your mindfulness, cultivate patience, and awaken to the beauty of the present moment. This is a path that leads not to decline, but to liberation, spiritual strength, and deeper connection with yourself and others. Now, let's dive into 5 Buddhist truths that will change everything. Number 1. Why fighting aging only brings suffering, and what to do instead. The Buddha taught that suffering arises not from what happens to us, but from how we respond to what happens. Nowhere is this more apparent than in our relationship with aging. From the moment we notice our first gray hair or wrinkle, many of us begin an invisible battle with time, one that consumes our energy, our peace, and often our self-worth. We live in a society that glorifies youth and sidelines the elderly, feeding us the illusion that growing older is something to resist at all costs. Hair dye, cosmetic surgery, and youth-obsessed marketing encourage us to hide the signs of change rather than accept them. And yet, the more we fight against aging, the more we suffer. This is not because age itself is painful, but because our minds cling to an ideal that is fading. The suffering comes from our refusal to let go of something we were never meant to hold on to forever. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha reminds us, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. Aging is not a personal flaw or punishment. It is the natural unfolding of life's design. Just as a flower blooms, fades, and returns to the earth, so too does the human body pass through its seasons. Our resistance is like holding tightly to a river's current, straining ourselves, while the water keeps flowing regardless. But the Buddhist path invites a different approach. It teaches us to observe rather than control, to be present rather than possessive. When we stop fighting aging and start witnessing it mindfully, we begin to uncover a gentle kind of freedom. This path of observation begins with the body. Notice the changes without labeling them as good or bad. Watch how your energy shifts, how your priorities evolve. Embrace these changes as part of your journey. Think of all that has deepened within you over the years: your patience, your compassion, your resilience. These are the gifts that youth, with all its sparkle, often lacks. The longer we live, the more we've seen, the more we've endured, and the more we understand. These inner qualities, wisdom, insight, calmness, do not fade with time, they ripen. Instead of trying to recapture what once was, we can redirect our attention to what is still here, right now. We can look in the mirror and see not just the lines etched into our skin, but the life that has been lived to earn them. We can walk more slowly and still feel purposeful. We can let go of the cultural narrative that says youth equals value and begin to write a new story, one where aging is an awakening, not a downfall. In Buddhist thought, the body is not who we are. It is a vessel, a temporary form through which awareness moves. You are not your skin. You are not your past. You are the presence that remains, the witness behind the changes. And when we begin to identify with that awareness rather than the aging shell, we touch the timeless part of ourselves. The practice is not to force joy, but to stop resisting truth. Accept aging like the sky accepts the passing clouds, with equanimity. Welcome the changes as signs that you are still alive, still growing. Suffering lessens not because we fix anything, but because we soften. Because we let go of the fight. In that letting go, peace quietly arises, unshaken by age, untouched by time, and rooted in wisdom. Number 2. The Buddhist perspective on impermanence, anicca, and how it can set you free. One of the most profound teachings of the Buddha is the concept of anicca, impermanence. At first glance, it might appear to be a somber truth. After all, human nature often craves permanence. We wish to hold on to health, youth, loved ones, success, and joy. But Buddhism gently asks us to look again. To really understand anicca is not to fall into despair, but to awaken into a deeper peace. Everything in existence is in constant motion, always arising and passing away. From the blossoming of a flower to the arc of a life, from the smallest sensation to the greatest joy, all things are subject to change. The Buddha, nearing the end of his life, famously said, "Decay is inherent in all compounded things. Work out your salvation with diligence." In these few words, he points to the truth that change is inevitable, but that awareness of this truth can become our path to liberation. Aging, perhaps more than any other human experience, is a daily reminder of impermanence. We notice the subtle changes, the body growing weaker, the face developing lines, the memory softening. In a society that idolizes youth and perfection, these changes can be hard to accept. But Buddhism invites us to see aging differently. Just as rivers flow and seasons shift, so too does the human experience transform. Aging is not a flaw, it is nature unfolding as it should. The more we resist this natural process, the more suffering we invite. But when we accept it, when we honor the truth of anicca, we begin to feel lighter inside. We stop fighting reality, and in that surrender, we find serenity. Think of a sunset. Its beauty lies in its fleeting nature. If it lingered forever, we might grow blind to its colors. Its impermanence compels us to pause, to look up, to appreciate. In much the same way, our lives take on greater meaning because they are brief. The wrinkles on our face, the silver in our hair, the slowing of our pace, these are not signs of decline, but signs that we have lived. They are symbols of experience, of moments survived, of lessons learned. They remind us that every breath we take is part of a larger dance of coming and going. And within that awareness, we discover a new kind of grace. Mindfulness, one of the key practices in the Buddhist path, trains us to see impermanence not as a distant idea but as a lived experience. We begin to notice how each breath is unique, how thoughts arise and dissolve like clouds in a vast sky, how emotions bloom and fade. We observe how sensations shift, how sounds disappear, how even our moods are temporary visitors. In this moment-by-moment awareness, we are taught again and again, nothing stays the same. And in that understanding, there is peace. Why? Because if pain arises, it will pass. If fear grips us, it too will loosen. We realize we don't have to cling. We don't have to resist. We simply need to observe with calm awareness and trust that all things will move on. Anicca gently teaches us to loosen our grip. We no longer feel the need to cling to beauty, to possessions, to praise, or to certainty. We begin to release our attachment to fixed identities and roles. We stop trying to control everything, and instead, we rest in a spacious awareness that holds all of life gently. This letting go is not detachment born of coldness, it is wisdom born of clarity. It means letting go of the illusion of permanence, not letting go of love. It means embracing life fully, even as we know it will change. Aging, with all its visible shifts, can be a gateway to this realization. It becomes easier to see that the body was never meant to last forever. That relationships evolve. That achievements fade. But rather than fearing this, we can learn to bow to it. We begin to understand that freedom is not found in holding tightly to what must fade, but in learning to open our hands. The heart, when it lets go of its demands for permanence, becomes vast and open. It can hold sorrow and joy, change and stillness, without being overwhelmed. Impermanence, then, is not a curse, it is a blessing in disguise. It reminds us to be present, to cherish each encounter, each moment of connection, each breath. It frees us from the prison of clinging and awakens us to the flow of life. We stop asking life to last, and instead, we begin to truly live. In that shift, peace arises, not the kind that depends on everything going our way, but the kind that flows from understanding how things truly are. And in that understanding, we are set free. Number 3. How to let go of attachment to youth and discover the hidden beauty of aging. What if aging is not a decline, but a deepening? What if, instead of seeing it as something to resist or fear, we saw it as a sacred unfolding? In Buddhist practice, the source of suffering is not found in the changing nature of life itself, but in our clinging, our attachments, our expectations, our longing for what once was. Among the many attachments we carry, perhaps none are as emotionally charged as our attachment to youth. We remember the vitality, the sharpness of our senses, the admiration we received, and the speed at which life once moved. Youth becomes a kind of identity, one we hold tightly and quietly mourn as it slips away. But the Buddha reminds us, all forms, our body, our image, our roles, are impermanent. They arise, shine for a while, and then fade. To cling to what is destined to change is to grasp at clouds. No matter how tightly we hold on, youth will drift beyond our reach. Yet the Buddha does not ask us to force detachment, or to abandon love for life. Instead, he invites us to look again, with clarity and compassion. Letting go of attachment to youth does not mean we stop caring about our health or stop appreciating beauty. It means we shift our understanding of where true beauty lives. The path to freedom is not paved with denial but with appreciation. As we age, we are offered new ways of seeing. What once dazzled us on the outside becomes softer, more internal. Perhaps the hidden beauty of aging is not written on the skin but in the soul. Our laughter, though quieter, carries more meaning. Our hearts grow more tender, shaped by both sorrow and joy. Our words slow down, but they gain weight. Our silence becomes a sanctuary, filled with wisdom rather than absence. We stop measuring life by how quickly we move and begin to feel its depth and stillness. As the Buddha said, better than 100 years lived without seeing the arising and passing of things is one day lived with that seeing. To age is to witness impermanence not as an abstract idea but as an embodied truth. We watch our bodies change, our roles shift, our memories gather. But instead of grieving what is lost, we are offered the chance to deepen our understanding. Aging, when viewed through the lens of Dharma, becomes a spiritual ripening. We are no longer driven by the need to prove, impress, or achieve. Instead, we begin to rest in being. We open to compassion, not only for others but for ourselves. We start to see that the deepest beauty is not in the face that once turned heads, but in the eyes that have seen and survived and softened. In many Buddhist cultures, elders are not ignored or dismissed, they are honored. Their worth is not measured by their energy, but by their presence. They are not revered for what they can do quickly, but for the depth they offer quietly. They are recognized as having journeyed through life's seasons, weathered its storms, and come through with grace. Their wisdom is not found in speeches, but in the simple way they sit, the calm in their breath, the kindness in their gaze. In letting go of youthful striving, they embrace the spaciousness of the present moment. Aging becomes a teaching in itself, a daily lesson in acceptance, in humility, in surrendering the ego. So, when you find yourself longing for the days when your skin was smoother, your pace quicker, and your calendar full, gently ask, "What have I gained in place of what I've lost?" You may find that the answer is surprisingly rich. Perhaps you've gained patience, a deeper sense of self, an ability to listen with your whole heart. Perhaps you've learned to say no without guilt, to say yes with intention, to rest without shame. Aging gives us the space to choose differently, to love more freely, and to appreciate life not for its shine, but for its truth. If we can release the illusion that beauty lives only in youth, we begin to see with clearer eyes. We recognize the beauty in resilience, in authenticity, in presence. We see the elegance of a body that still moves with grace, even if more slowly. We find wonder in the quiet confidence that comes from no longer needing to be everything for everyone. In this light, aging is not a loss but a revelation. It is not the end of the journey, but a return, back to ourselves, back to simplicity, back to the heart of life. The hidden beauty of aging is not hidden at all. It is there, waiting for us to notice, to bow to it, and to live it fully, moment by moment, with open eyes and an even more open heart. Number 4. The truth about relationships drifting apart, and how to cherish those who remain. As we grow older, we begin to notice a quiet shifting in the landscape of our lives. The circle of friends and family that once seemed so solid begins to change. Some people move away physically, relocating to new cities or countries, following careers or family paths that take them elsewhere. Others drift emotionally, lost in the currents of their own lives, carried by personal changes, hardships, or new identities. And some, whether suddenly or after long illness, leave this world entirely. These changes can leave us feeling unsteady, as though the once firm ground beneath our social life has begun to erode. This drifting can feel like a kind of abandonment, especially when the heart longs for connection and continuity. But from a Buddhist perspective, this shift is not a sign of failure or neglect. It is a reflection of one of the most essential truths of life: impermanence. The Buddha taught that everything in conditioned existence is subject to change. That which is born will age. That which begins will end. That which comes together will eventually part. And relationships, like everything else, follow this law. Bonds form, grow, shift, and sometimes fade. Even relationships forged in deep love and trust can become distant, not because of malice, but because people grow, life evolves, and karma unfolds in unexpected ways. Buddhism teaches that clinging, especially to people or permanence, is a source of suffering. As the Buddha so clearly said, from attachment springs grief, from attachment springs fear. For one who is wholly free from attachment there is no grief. Whence then fear? The pain we often feel when people drift away is not only about their absence, it's about our resistance to the change. We want the connection to remain the same. We wish for constancy in a world that is constantly shifting. Yet, there is a beautiful freedom in this truth if we embrace it. Instead of mourning only those who have left, we can turn our hearts toward those who remain. We can cherish the relationships that continue to walk beside us, not because they will last forever, but precisely because they won't. The fragility of connection is what makes it sacred. When we are present with those we love, when we pause to truly listen, to say thank you, to forgive quickly, to laugh wholeheartedly, we are practicing mindfulness in relationships. We are not taking anything for granted. We begin to see that every shared moment is a gift, every conversation a fleeting opportunity for love and compassion. As we age, our relationships may grow fewer in number, but those that remain often deepen in quality. There is less need for pretense, more openness to honesty. We begin to prefer authenticity over performance. In younger years, friendships may be based on convenience, shared interests, or proximity. But as we grow older, we seek deeper resonance, connections that are rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and quiet understanding. We find peace not in the crowd, but in the calm presence of a few souls who truly see us. Buddhist wisdom does not ask us to give up on relationships. It asks us to release our rigid expectations of how they should look or how long they should last. To love someone in the spirit of non-attachment is not to love less, but to love more freely. It is to allow people to come and go in our lives like waves on the shore, appreciating their presence without trying to hold the tide still. We offer our love, our gratitude, and then we let go. This letting go is not cold or careless. It is warm with compassion, rooted in the understanding that true love does not control, it liberates. And when someone leaves your life, whether through distance, time, or death, send them loving kindness from the heart. In silence or in prayer, you can say, "May you be happy. May you be free. May you walk your path in peace." This small act of spiritual generosity heals the wound of separation and honors the love that once was. Then, with tenderness, turn your attention to those who are still here. Those who still call. Those who still smile when you walk in. Those who still ask, "How are you really?" These are treasures. They are not to be taken for granted. Cherish them. Make time for them. Laugh with them. Sit in silence with them. Hold their hands while you can. For just like everything else in life, they too are impermanent. And that's what makes them so incredibly precious. Number 5. How love never dies even when we lose people we cherish. Loss is perhaps the hardest teacher of all. It comes in many forms, through death, distance, or the passage of time. The people we love and cherish, whether they are family, friends, or partners, may one day slip from our grasp. We are all familiar with that empty space left behind when someone who once filled our days is no longer there. The grief can feel overwhelming, and the heart heavy with the weight of absence. But Buddhism offers us a profound truth to help ease the burden of loss. While the form of a person may vanish, the love we shared with them does not. Love in its truest and most compassionate form transcends the physical. It remains quiet, persistent, and ever-present, woven into the very fabric of our hearts. The Buddha taught that love grounded in compassion and selflessness is a love that does not die. True love, he explained, is not rooted in attachment, but in the pure wish for the happiness and well-being of others. It is not dependent on proximity, on possession, or on permanence. When someone we love passes away, we may no longer see their face or hear their voice, but the love we shared with them continues to ripple outward, like circles in a pond that spread farther than the eye can see. The kindness they offered us, the joy they brought into our lives, the lessons they imparted, all of this stays alive in us. It is preserved not just in memories, but in every act of goodness we perform, in every smile we share, in every moment of compassion we extend to others. As the Buddha said, in whom there is no clinging to loved ones or to unloved ones, he is indeed a holy man, unshaken by the world. This profound teaching asks us not to relinquish our love, but to transform it. We learn that love, at its deepest level, is not bound to the form of the person we once held close. It is not defined by the physical presence of another. It is something far more expansive. It is a living energy, a quality of the heart that remains unbroken, even in the face of loss. When someone we cherish is no longer with us in body, their essence continues in the love we carry forward. Grief is a natural response to loss, but in the Buddhist practice, grief is seen not as something to suppress or run away from, but as an invitation to mindfulness. When grief arises, we are asked to observe it, to sit with it, and to feel it fully without judgment. It is easy to wish for the pain to go away or to distract ourselves from the hurt, but true healing comes when we allow ourselves to experience the grief in its fullness. In this stillness, in the gentle presence of our own hearts, there is a quiet healing. By allowing ourselves to be with the grief, we allow space for love to transform. We begin to understand that love is not confined to one person or one moment in time. It becomes a part of us, woven into the very core of who we are. The Buddha's teachings also remind us that clinging to the past, whether through holding on to past relationships, possessions, or even memories, only causes suffering. The love we feel for someone, while deep and lasting, should not become an attachment that anchors us in the past. True love is not possessive or dependent on an individual's physical presence. It is the love that transcends the individual and becomes part of the universal flow of compassion. To love without attachment means to cherish the time we had, but to also release the need to hold on to it, to let it continue to transform and expand beyond the limits of time and space. In this way, when someone we love passes away, their love for us does not vanish, it is still with us. It lives on in the way we love others, in the way we carry their teachings forward, in the way we move through the world with compassion and understanding. You may feel alone at times, especially in the quiet moments when the absence feels most profound. But know that you are never truly alone. You carry every love you have ever known within you. Their presence, their energy, their love, it is now part of your peace, part of your journey. And just as love never dies, neither does the presence of the ones we've lost. In essence, love, in its purest form, is not about attachment. It is about presence, about being fully in the moment, fully present with those we love, and fully present with ourselves. And presence, in all its forms, never dies. It lives on in every act of kindness, in every moment of understanding, in every heartfelt word we share. So, while the forms we love may change, the love itself remains constant. It transforms, it endures, and it will always be with us. Finally, aging is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a more mindful one. Aging is often viewed with a sense of loss. Society whispers that aging means decline, a gradual fading into irrelevance. We might feel the weight of time in our bodies and minds, noticing changes that seem to tell the story of something coming to an end. Yet, through the teachings of the Buddha, we discover a radically different perspective. Aging, rather than signaling an end, marks the beginning of a more profound, more mindful journey. It invites us to embrace the passage of time not with sorrow, but with awareness, gratitude, and the wisdom to see each day as an opportunity to grow deeper into ourselves and the world around us. Life, the Buddha teaches, was never meant to be permanent. It was never meant to be something we can control, hold on to tightly, or preserve in a perfect state forever. Life is fluid, ever-changing, and full of impermanence. It's meant to be observed, experienced, felt, and then gracefully let go of. This principle of impermanence, known as anicca, reminds us that change is the constant. Our bodies, our relationships, and our circumstances are not static. They are flowing and evolving in a never-ending cycle. In this light, aging is not something to resist or fear. It is simply a natural unfolding, one that mirrors the rhythms of nature itself. You are not failing because your body changes. The wrinkles that form, the gray hairs that appear, the slower steps you take, they are not signs of weakness or defeat. They are badges of honor, markers of your journey through life. Your body is not broken, it is living. It is doing exactly what it was meant to do. It is experiencing the passage of time. Similarly, when people drift away from your life, when relationships change, it is not an indication that you have done something wrong. People come and go as part of the flow of existence. The Buddha taught us that clinging to relationships, to people, and to possessions creates suffering. The more we grasp, the more we set ourselves up for pain. Instead, if we let go of the need to control and hold on, we can experience true freedom. Aging is simply another chapter in this story of impermanence. It is an opportunity to learn, to reflect, and to awaken to the deeper truths of existence. In every wrinkle lies a lesson, in every farewell, a truth, and in every moment of stillness, the chance to awaken. The changes we experience in aging do not diminish our worth, they deepen our understanding. Aging teaches us that life is fleeting, that nothing is permanent, and that every moment is precious. With this understanding comes freedom, the freedom to stop chasing youth, to stop fearing loss, and to stop resisting change. Instead of being a victim of aging, we can become a wise observer, embracing each stage of life with a sense of grace and acceptance. The Buddha's path is not a promise of eternal youth. It does not guarantee that we will remain young or immune to the effects of time. What the path offers instead is the promise of freedom. Freedom from craving, freedom from fear, freedom from sorrow. The teachings of Buddhism invite us to free ourselves from the attachments that bind us to an idealized version of ourselves, a version that is forever young, forever flawless, forever in control. We are invited to live each day with mindfulness, compassion, and peace of mind. The path does not ask us to deny our aging bodies or the inevitable changes that come with time. It asks us to embrace them fully, with acceptance, with love, and with the wisdom to recognize that aging is an integral part of the human experience. So, how do we begin this journey of mindful aging? We begin by pausing. We begin by breathing. We begin by noticing. In our hectic, fast-paced lives, we often forget to simply be present. We are constantly looking ahead to the next goal, the next milestone, the next achievement. But in this constant striving, we miss the beauty of the present moment. We miss the opportunity to be with ourselves, to honor our feelings, to accept our aging bodies with tenderness and gratitude. Aging is not something to be feared or avoided. It is something to be embraced. We begin by letting go of what we were never meant to keep. Youth, control, expectations, these are illusions that only cause us suffering. Youth is fleeting. Control is an illusion. Expectations often lead to disappointment. Instead of clinging to these fleeting aspects of life, we make space for what truly matters: awareness, gratitude, and love. We begin to realize that what truly sustains us as we age is not our appearance, our status, or our accomplishments, but our capacity to be present, to love, to care for others, and to cultivate peace within ourselves. If you've felt left behind by age, Remember, the spiritual path is not behind you, it is right here, in this moment. The wisdom of Buddhism teaches us that every stage of life offers an opportunity to grow in awareness. Aging does not take away our ability to walk the path of mindfulness. It gives us the chance to walk it with more depth and clarity. Each step we take as we grow older can be filled with purpose and peace. In fact, the later years of life often bring a deeper sense of inner calm, a clearer understanding of what truly matters, and a stronger connection to the present moment. Cherish those around you. Speak kindly to yourself. Spend time in silence. Practice loving kindness. And above all, keep walking this mindful path with courage. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who may be silently struggling. Let them know they are not alone. And if you wish to continue learning, reflecting, and growing with us, we invite you to subscribe to Mindful Pathway Media. Together, let's build a community rooted in Buddhist wisdom, non-attachment, peace of mind, aging with grace, and spiritual growth. Thank you for being here. May you walk in peace. May you age with wisdom. And may you always remember, you are exactly where you need to be,